Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to experiment with flying upside down. Now keep in mind now, when flying upside down, it is not like flying in other aircraft. As a matter of fact, many aircraft don't have the capability to fly upside down because all that lovely tools that's designed to keep that nice liquid fuel in the correct direction will no longer be able to do so because obviously we're upside down and all the liquid goes on the other side. So there's a couple things. So we've grabbed ourselves the extra 300, which has this lovely little engine on board, which basically will keep us going even though we're completely upside down. It's kind of a handy little feature. And of course, when we're doing things like this, we have to remember that all of our responses are going to be backwards as well. So to do this, I'm just going to go ahead and flip upside down, and I'm going to immediately apply forward elevator. So now that I'm slightly disoriented, now I'm just kind of enjoy ourselves a couple moments here. Now this has a lovely, lovely tool on it that, of course, will enable us to be able to identify whether or not we're climbing or descending. The problem is that tool is now everything is backwards because, of course, when you want to think about what's it like to fly normally, everything is now going to have reversed input. Like if I let my nose drop, you're going to see we descend. If I let my nose climb, you can see that we start to climb. So that means all that lovely instrumentation that you see in my little display there, the Garmin there, is completely reversed. The other problem we have when we're flying upside down is turning is now reversed. Also, if I want to turn to our left, I have to actually tilt us to the right. And now that I've done that, you can see that I'm executing a nice turn to the screen left, even though for my brain it's having a little bit of trouble with this. Now, if I wanted to turn the other way, of course, I simply turn the aircraft like this, and then I can execute myself backwards. Now, one of the things we have to keep in mind as we're bouncing around here is our instrumentation is going to be a lot less helpful than it normally is. Like I said, a lot of those needles are backwards. Our normal physical instincts are going to be reversed here, which makes it very challenging. One thing I recommend doing, as insane as this sounds, is you can actually trim the aircraft upside down. You don't have to fly the aircraft constantly basically fighting the controls here. Keep in mind, whenever you trim things up like that, when we flip back the other way, things are going to be very, very weird for us. Let's go ahead and trim it pretty flat. It looks pretty flat there. I'll go ahead and execute our turn back towards the airport here. There we go. And again, if we want to increase the speed of our turn, we just have to tip a little more, and then we're pushing forward now for the purposes of executing the turn. I'm actually gaining a little bit of altitude here. It seems surprising, but it does work. Now here's the hard part. When we're done with the turn, of course, we have to roll the opposite way we normally roll in order to cancel out the turn in that direction. And again, this is why one of these great exercises about flying upside down is going to really, really test your understanding of what the aircraft is doing. So I'm pretty well trimmed here. The aircraft is cruising along my horizon. Of course, if you're flying this on a 152 and you flew upside down, your engine would have shut off a while ago because we would have starved the fuel and all that stuff. Not very pleasant. But the good news is, as we're kind of cruising around here, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. You can see it's just a matter of kind of tipping and really, 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 really taking our time here. So off our 12 o'clock, of course, is the runway, which we took off from. As a matter of fact, I'm going to come off a little bit this way. And we're going to go ahead and land. Now, what makes this really, really challenging, again, is we got to go ahead and not land on the roof of this airplane. If we land on the roof of this airplane, we'll get smooshed. The other problem is we have to slow the airplane down just like we're executing a conventional landing here, which also now means we need to descend with all of our controls completely backwards. So as always, whenever you find yourself in weird situations, do one thing at a time. Resist the urge to try to get a lot of stuff done. When you try to do that, of course, you're going to end up overwhelming yourself. And we can see right now we're actually close to a stall, and it feels wrong that you can stall upside down, but you can stall terribly, and it basically puts you in a nosedive when you do that, which makes it kind of sketchy for us. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting my approach ready here. And again, it feels like we're sinking a lot faster than we really are. It's about 500 feet per minute. It's pretty conventional. And of course, our big bad runway is sitting there. Our approach speed has been set. And we just need to kind of take our time. And again, just enjoy our little flying here. Oh man, this is more disorienting. I feel like I'm falling out of my seat right now, and I'm sure if anybody's watching this, you've already flipped the screen over ages ago. So the question is, when do we transition to a conventional landing here? And the key answer there is we want to do it sooner rather than later. We're actually going pretty slow right now, so when we transition out, we just want to keep that in mind. So we go ahead and add a little bit of power here so we can bring it back. Now remember, our trim is all out of whack, and our turn there, of course, pulled on 45 knots of speed as we came approaching. So our aircraft at the moment is actually too fast to land. And you can see here that I'm just sort of hovering here, and at no point would this aircraft have been able to settle down on this runway. It's just too little aerodynamic potential here. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some power here, and we're going to get it going again, and we'll kind of come spin around, and I'll put this thing back on the ground. Now, the challenge when you're pulling out of that is, remember when we first did that first flip that you had to start pushing forward in order to compensate it? Well, when you come out of the flip, you have to pull it back. And that's one of those little things that people don't think about when they're executing upside down maneuvers like that. So I'm going to build up a ton of speed here. I'm going to go ahead and do something really, really naughty. I'm just going to flip us right over. And I'm going to cut the power on the way back out. There we go. And now we're going to enjoy my little descent here. So we have the same situation once again. We're relatively slow. And I'm actually going to do an upside down slip. And we'll make it a more aggressive upside down slip. Feeling like we're going to crash. There we go. Let's go ahead and pull us up. There we go. And you can see that because of all that energy that I brought into that corner, we're always going too fast when we're trying to get ourselves out of here. We're actually in a complete slip right now, if you actually look at the aircraft. And it's not even coming close to beginning to slow down. As a matter of fact, we're going to have to go around another time because of just how little drag this aircraft has. So one of the things we're going to do now is I'm going to come back around and we're going to line ourselves up a little bit lower this time. There we go. That's a little bit better. So now we have ourselves a lot lower of an approach. And that means all that nasty energy that we've collected on our approach here will be less destructive to us. But our new problem, of course, is now that we're getting nice and slow, when we begin our transition here, remember, you have to pull up just like that. So now we have ourselves a pretty good approach speed. Now you can see we're doing about 75 knots. We're a little bit low. It's not like we've got any flaps or speed brakes or anything to help us out a little bit. And with a tail dragger like this, I can basically coast it in. I'm amazed that they don't simulate the propeller drag here, because the propeller drag basically would have cut us out of the air pretty early there. There we go. We're over the good old-fashioned number 1.5. I can transition to using my little synthetic vision here for the purposes of our approach. And notice the ground effect in this aircraft is one heck of a combination. Nose up just a little bit. There's our settle. And we got one bounce. And we're down. Nice. And you can see just how interesting it is operating the aircraft upside down. Now, one of the things you can do, of course, for those of you who are looking forward to experimenting with this a little bit more, I just encourage you, when you do things like fly underneath bridges or fly in between buildings, you just have to remember that when you do flip yourself upside down, you're pulling back. When you flip yourself the other way, you're pushing forward. Enjoy.